Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, issue number 1 of 4. So, Spider-Man life story by Chip Zdarsky, kind of like an alternate future, one that could possibly not have radioactive semen. I said what I said, look that one up. This is a what-if story, so it actually goes back, and what if there was just a little tweak, right? What if there was just a little tweak in something? What if he waited one more day? You bastard. Really? You're going to slip that in here too? Anyway, let's get talking about who made this comic book. We'll go on from there. The really weird way of putting everything. Chip Zdarsky is the writer, Pascal Ferry on art, Matt Hollingsworth doing the colors. Go all the way down here. VC's Joe Caramagnon letters, Phil Noto doing that cover. Bunch of variant covers out there. Go check them all out, baby. And the logo and the designs were by Chip Zdarsky. Imagine that. All right. Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Spider-Man. Yeah, boom. So anyway, this goes back to The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 258. And it says that in here. So I went back and I looked up Spider-Man, issue number 258. Classic freaking cover. Classic comic book. I also read 259 and 260, just, to be safe. I'm really glad I did. But this basically goes into the idea that Spider-Man has a bit of an excuse to delay visiting Mr. Fantastic for just one extra day. Now, while the things that Spider-Man says may be this, may be that, maybe whatever, there's going to be a bunch of different interpretations of this, but the most important thing to me is that he waited one more day, which, in my observation, made it so that it was just that much harder for him to be able to resist the symbiote, the Clintar, right? So Spidey hasn't been sleeping a lot. It's been bringing down his willpower, making him snap to rush judgment. And we're seeing basically the turning to the dark side of Peter Parker, right? And just one more day of him putting up with this fight would have caused him to lose this fight. Just that one more day. That's Chip's interpretation of this, and I love it. I love it. That is such a freaking fantastic idea, because realistically, a what-if comic book is supposed to be a one instance that is different from the Earth 616 timeline. And in this particular case, that instance is a distraction that caused him to go do something, and then afterwards, like, you know what, I'm not in the mood for this. Let me just go home instead. I'll go see that genius guy, as Black Cat says. That genius guy, I'll go see him the next day. I'll go see him tomorrow. And it's a little too late by the time that he does. Man, fantastic idea. Great concept. Love the art in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much of the art in here because it's a very dark episode. You want to talk about, like, the Day of the Dead, right? Because Pascal Ferry, let's see if I can actually find that good and proper image to show you guys. No, it's too dangerous to show you that picture because it's on the last page. I don't want to show you the picture, but when you see the images of the dead people that Peter is looking at on the last page, right at the top, it looks so Spanish to me. You know what I'm saying? Like the Day of the Dead. It looks just like that to me, and it's like, wow, that is freaking fantastic. I love the way that this is done. So much of this comic book, dude. The art, the writing, everything fantastic. But I do yet still somehow have a complaint because, they did mention that I should go back and look at this other comic book. So I did. And when I did, I noticed something that I wouldn't have otherwise thought of if they were just supposed to say, oh, such and such is in this book. Okay, yeah, cool. Something happened in that book. I'm not going to go back and read that book. But I did go back and read that book, and at the very end of 258, it was snowing, and there's a reference to Thor, issue number 249, I think it was, because in the pages of Thor, the casket of endless winters was opened. It was shattered, so there's an endless winter everywhere. So there's snow in New York City. It was one of those things where back in the day, when comic books came out on time and there was some semblance of continuity, when Jim Shooter was in charge. Little things like that where you would see it snow and you'd say, oh, well, that's interesting. Why is it snowing? I'm going to have to go and check out Thor to see why it's snowing. And you see the casket of endless winters and what the hell is this? And like, what is this amazing stuff that I'm reading? And it blows you away. Blows you away to see the continuity and everything there. So if they really wanted to make the absolute perfect comic book, so I didn't have to harp on it at all, they could have just simply put a single panel where it was snowing on the appropriate day. Aside from that, man, this book was just amazing. Wow, I really liked this. And what we get to see as we go forward is going to be great. I wonder if you guys will recognize this timeline. I'm going to show you the image for the next comic book, right? The cover for the next comic book, which will be out May 12th, by the way. This. Remember when Venom was stalking peeps? Yeah. Now Spider-Man is going to wind up being a version of Venom. Ooh, I can't wait to see this. Unfortunately, I got to wait an entire month, and so do you. So, yeah, let's commiserate together. Write menacing letters to Chip Zdarsky on his freaking newsletter. This was a good comic book, guys. It's Zdarsky. He knows this character so well. He can go to a museum like the Royal Ontario Museum, real place, real visit. He did it, and give a lecture about the history of Spider-Man. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? So he knows these characters. He's got a great imagination. Of course, the one thing I'm always going to complain about him is his fetish with doing the ... in the first two letters of a word, and then a hyphen, and then do the whole word. And times where there was no logical sense, no rhyme or reason for certain people, especially people who are clearly more confident in this, no reason for them to be stuttering or stumbling over the words. And yet, it's a trope that Chip Zdarsky always does. And yeah, it gets frustrating, but I think I'm almost over it now. I'm still going to mention it, but I'm pretty much over it now. That's just the thing that he does. He's normalized weird for me. That's a shame. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Go and make sure you check out this comic book. You're in on the ground floor right now, and you can see some of the amazing things that are happening and what Spidey does in this book. Who was that main villain who was moseying around during that time? Yeah, interesting. Talk to you guys later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.